Alrighty! Hello everyone. You may have noticed that the savings section is only 2 modules long. And that is because, like I hearkened at the beginning of this section in Module 1, where I talked about the relationship between budgeting and saving, they are one in the same. And that without a solid budget, one will not be able to save. Hence why I spent so much time, 5 modules worth, of videos on budgeting. Nevertheless, this is our last one in the savings section, so let's get into it. Saving, module number 2, ways and where to save. So, remember the fundamentals of the successful budget in module number 2 of budgeting section? The same principles apply to being able to establish saving, to be able to create better saving habits. But there are a few things that I didn't cover in that module that I would like to cover here. And one of those is setting up Autopay. Having the ability to make sure that once you get your paycheck, for example, you are able to directly pay an expense, whether that be rent or whatever. It allows you to be able to, essentially, the money you take home has already been accounted for that expense and it is deducted from your income, but you've also automatically paid for an expense. Another thing that I didn't cover was the ability to use direct deposits that go directly from your paycheck to a bank account. And it's possible to have several bank accounts. You can have many. But you need at least one for an emergency fund. You can have one for a rainy day fund, like we talked about in the last time. But speaking of savings accounts, what's the main difference between a checking and a savings account? Well, you're probably already aware of this, but a checking account is incredibly liquid. It's usually used to simply pay your expenses and is most commonly utilized with ATM withdrawals. Now, respectively, savings accounts are respectively illiquid. They are incredibly liquid, but with respect to a checking account, they are not as liquid. You are not supposed to just use a savings account as a checking account, hence the distinction. A savings account is meant to store money and be left there for periods of time. Additionally, like I said, it is liquid, but with respect to a checking account, it's respectively illiquid. Checking accounts you use all the time. Savings accounts you can have linked to your checking account to transfer money over. And also, savings accounts tend to have a higher interest rate associated with them that will help combat inflation as you're storing money there. So, I talked about establishing an emergency fund in the last module, and now I'm briefly going to talk about saving for retirement. Is it too early? No, it is not. Time is a very powerful thing, and if you want to understand time value of money more in depth, please go to the Business Certificate series where they spend a substantial amount of time discussing that, as it is a very useful tool. But we don't have time to do that because we're talking about the basics of saving. So is it too early to save for retirement? No, absolutely not. Time is a very powerful thing, and you can think of it as how much do you want to pay your future self. Again, making saving a priority is going to pay dividends, in the future for you and your future self. If your employer offers a retirement benefit like a 401k, you should definitely consider it as a tool towards your saving. And understanding that smaller sooner is better than larger later is absolutely paramount to the concept of saving. Now, I have a quote in here from Maya Angelou. Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. I have just told you that you need to start saving. Now that you know how to save, you can save more and that will be the way to go. It's all about creating good habits, and that is why we are creating this student empowerment series, specifically the saving, budgeting, and managing credit portion. Okay, this is all I have for the savings section. Like I said, lots of this is one and the same with a budget, but I wanted to bring up a couple key topics to discuss. Up next, we're going to be talking about probably the most misunderstood portion is managing credit. What is credit? How to utilize credit? And we will catch you on the next section of videos. Catch you later. Bye-bye.
My name is Rick Haskell, and I'd like to thank you for watching this installment in the Student Empowerment Series. This series was prepared by students in the Bill and Vieve Gore School of Business as part of our outreach through the Center for Financial Wellness. I'm a finance professor here at the college and director of the Center for Financial Wellness. We've prepared the Student Empowerment Series to assist students in important elements in their life and their progression through the college, part of their Westminster experience, if you will. In this series, we take a look at financing higher education, we look at budget, credit, and savings, and we look at some of the more important elements of adulting. We'd like to invite you to follow us on social media at our Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook sites. You're welcome to use the QR codes provided or simply go to this site. Thank you.